Holy shit, is this movie terrible. I don't have very many good things to say about this movie at all. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Shadow Archives. My name is Theo, and today we're going to be talking about this piece of shit movie right here. Alright, so let me start this off by saying that I am a pretty decent fan of the original Strangers movie. And I had high hopes going into this movie, thinking they're going to regen this movie and it's going to be similar to the original, and then it's going to build onto the suspense whenever they go into the next few movies. But man, was I wrong. So let me go back in time a little bit. So the original Strangers movie came out in the mid 2000s, right? And it made a very good box office successful movie. And the reason why was because it had suspense, it had characters that you cared about, and then it had a plot narrative that took you to a point where you were wondering what was going on, why the strangers were doing what they were doing, and the characters involved had a better chemistry than the ones in this new movie. Now, in the remake, you do not get any of that. There's no suspense. There is no plot narrative that makes you care about the characters. The characters don't have good chemistry. There's no really explanation as to why what's happening is happening. It's just a jumbled mess of confusion that ends on a cliffhanger that you won't care about. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the old movie because obviously I'm doing a review about this new movie. But, the original movie had characters like Liv Tyler who actually made the movie feel like she couldn't get away. You know what I mean? There was no means of them getting away. They were trapped. They were obviously being stalked by these three mysterious people. And the way that it happened in the original movie was there was no chance that they could call anybody, no chance they could get away. Every chance they tried to take got shut down, and it led to a mysterious ending that led to a sequel. And in this new gen movie, there's several attempts that they could be I'm getting the hell out of here, and they don't. Nothing happens. There are several attempts where Maya in the new movie could call the police on her smartphone before the strangers break it, and she doesn't. Nothing happens. She just acts like nothing's happening, even though there's been 5 attempts now of somebody trying to break into the house or be mysterious outside. Nothing of the sort happens. She doesn't call the cops. She doesn't try to get away. Nothing. It's a jumbled mess, and it doesn't work. All right, now with that, let's get into some of my positives about this movie. I only have 2, and for the first one, I'm going to say it was shot okay. Not the best, but it was shot okay. It made you feel like you were in that wooded area, and it made you feel like there was some type of mysterious happening going on. There were certain times whenever the strangers would be directly in front of somebody or directly behind somebody, and you wouldn't see them until that person turned around, and then oh shit, there they are. And I respect that. I think that was shot well. Cinematography was well done. And, that's probably about one of my only positives so far. One of the other positives I have, and probably the only other positive I have about this movie, is it's kind of some of the kills were slasher-like. And that was really hard for me to pull that one because I don't have a lot of good things to say about this movie. All right, for negative number 1, here we go. I'm going to go on a tangent here. I'm sorry. But for my first negative, the acting is fucking terrible in this movie. It is absolutely some of the worst acting I've ever seen in a horror movie. So Madeline and Troy, they do an okay job with their chemistry as a loving couple that really just get stranded out in this cabin, and the strangers come. But then at a certain point, there's a lot of things chemistry-wise that don't work with this movie because you compare it to the original, where in the original the couple was fighting because the husband or the fiance had proposed to Liv Tyler, and she said no, she wasn't ready for that. And then it had like this tension between them where they were trying to figure out their relationship and if they still wanted to be together, but then the strangers showed up and they had to fight for their life. And in this one, there's a loving couple that try to show that chemistry, and there is no engagement proposal, there is no tension, there is no I hate you, I don't know if I want to be with you, to create that more suspenseful moment. It's like, I'm going to stick beside you, please come back, I love you, let's get through this, that kind of thing, and it does not work in this movie. All right, so now on to my second negative, and this is probably the one I've seen the most from everybody that I've looked at online, but it lacks suspense, and the characters could have gotten away at several points, or they could have done something more to the strangers or called the cops. And I will be completely honest, throughout this whole movie, these two characters, Maya and Froy, they do a terrible job of being like, I'm stuck, there's nothing I can do, they're getting in, what else can I do about that? There's no tension, there's no suspense, it's a lot of lack thereof, and it's bullshit, okay? It doesn't work at all in this movie like it did in the original movie, because in the original movie, the strangers immediately break the phones, they cut the power, they slash the tires, they blow up the car, they ram the car, they kill the people that come in, or so one of them gets killed accidentally. But in this movie, there's like 45 minutes of like, I could have got away or called the cops, and nobody does anything. They just wait for the strangers to come in, and then they try to be reactive at that point and fight them off, and it just leads to a very I don't care ending, an unclimactic ending with a twist in the credits where you're like, none of this made any sense. I'm so mad that this happened, and I don't want there to be two other movies onto this, even though there's gonna be, and it just leaves you in this pissed off state of mind. All right, so my third negative has to do with the strangers. So the strangers in this movie come off more like hunters than they do like stalker psychopaths. In the original Strangers movies, it was like they were stalker psychopaths that were doing things because they wanted to toy with people, they wanted to see the reaction from it, they were doing it because they were home, and in this movie it's like, we did it because we wanted to hunt you. And it really takes that tension point out of it that it did in the original movie, where you're like, I wonder why the hell they're doing this, you know? And then in this movie, you're like, they're probably just doing it because they want to kill them. I don't know, it's just whatever. And then my fourth negative has to do with a couple of the kills in this movie. So a couple of the kills in this movie, there's a kill where like they've got a shotgun and they're like, okay, we're going to sneak around this building and we're going to be proactive and we're going to kill one of the people. And if you've seen the original movie, you know there's an accidental kill with a shotgun. Spoilers, sorry, for those that haven't seen that movie. And it comes out of nowhere, you know what I mean? But in this one, you're like, I bet they killed the wrong person. I bet you they're about to kill the wrong person. And guess what happened? They kill the wrong person. So later on in the movie, the boyfriend has the same shotgun, and he's chasing after the strangers, and then Maya's like, she's held down, nothing I can do about it. Strangers has one of them through the window. He fires this shotgun point blank at them both, and if you've ever fired a shotgun before, you know both of them are probably dead, right? No, in this one, he boom, boosh, misses everything. Nobody gets hit, nothing happens, and he's like 3 feet away from him. I was like, what in God's name just happened? All right, so that'll do it for this one for me. And I personally, like I said, I don't really have too much to say that's good about this movie. I didn't have much good to say about it. And if you enjoyed the movie, then that's fine. But I did not. This is probably one of the worst horror movies I've seen in a long time. I will probably watch the next 2 installments of this movie just so I can see where they take it and if it's going to be any better. I fucking highly doubt it at this point. But this is probably going to hit my bottom list for my worst horror movie of 2024. And my goodness, have I watched some real weird and just off the chain movies this year. But this one takes the fucking cake. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all so very much. Check out my other videos. There's a couple other ones. I do a bunch of short videos that have to do with horror movies and horror reviews. Check them out in the description below. And until next time, remember to check under your beds Stay safe out there.